Welcome, welcome, welcome to episode 245 of the show with no name. I'm your humble host, Nick, and in today's episode, we're going to be visiting the Fort George Wright Cemetery out here in Spokane, Washington. This is a military cemetery, so seeing that it is Memorial Day, I figured this was the best day to put this episode up. The Fort George Wright was approved by an act of Congress in 1895 and officially opened in 1899. The original installation covered 1,000 acres, and it was an active military base until 1958. Many of the original buildings still exist and are included in the Fort George Wright National Historic District. This cemetery was authorized by the Secretary of War on December 13th, 1899. Remains of soldiers, officers, and others were moved here from Fort Spokane and from Fort Sherman near Coeur d'Alene in the year 1900. The cemetery is occupied with the graves of veterans, their wives, and other family members. All branches of the service are represented here, and there are approximately 650 graves located in this cemetery. There's multiple people I'm going to be talking about in today's episode, but before I do that, I'm going to spend 4 or 5 minutes just kind of showing you guys some of my favorite shots that I got from this cemetery, as well as a lot of photos of people that are buried here that I found their photos, but I couldn't really find any information about their lives. But I still wanted you guys to check them out anyways. John William Spicer was born sometime in the year 1875 in Iowa. On April 19, 1917, he was killed in action while serving in World War I as a sergeant in the Army Infantry. His wife, whom he was pictured with, would pass away many years later and would never remarry. I found a really interesting story about this other guy buried here in this cemetery whose name was Burr Gongwer, and he was born on January 2nd, 1890 in Kansas. And he would pass away on October 7th, 1932 at the age of 42 in Montana in a car accident. Burr and two of his friends were driving back to their work location near Superior, Montana one Friday night when their automobile left a narrow trail and plunged 70 feet to a creek below. The car, being driven by Burr, failed to make a turn. Mr. Nurhood was knocked unconscious, and when he came to, he was in the creek, entangled in the wreckage of the automobile. He removed the bodies of both of his friends before seeking aid. Both men are believed to have died almost instantly. William Doxey was born on April 21st, 1863 in Iowa, and he would pass away on April 21st, 1929 at the age of 66 in Spokane, Washington. He was a private first class in the United States Cavalry. He was a Spanish-American War veteran. Last but not least, in today's episode, I'm going to talk about Galileo Basio, and he was born on March 12th, 1920 in Priest River, Idaho, and he would pass away on April 4th, 1978 at the age of 58 in North Vietnam. This guy was quite the soldier in the U.S. Air Force. He was a colonel, and he served in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam before he would pass away in a aircraft crash of some sort. This headstone here is just a tribute to Galileo, though, because his body was never recovered from Vietnam and still has not been found to this day. I hope you enjoy the rest of the pictures and videos of this Memorial Day special episode. Thank you.